Hello and welcome to this special episode of Focus On, where we put the spotlight on the 2024 Cybersecurity Conference organized by the Central Securities Clearance System and the Office of the National Security Advisor. I'm Akin Obakeye. Now, the conference brings together cybersecurity professionals, government officials, financial institutions, telecommunication companies, and industry regulators to discuss the significance of keeping cyber vigilance on varying degrees of business technology touchpoints for data exchange. It's the 2024 Cybersecurity Conference. Experts from the military, technology, finance, and government sectors gather to explore how artificial intelligence can safeguard critical infrastructure against increasingly sophisticated cyber threats. In an era where artificial intelligence is finding its way to every sector, these experts believe building resilient infrastructure to protect Nigeria's financial system and critical assets remains crucial. But what role does collaboration and awareness play in mitigating vulnerabilities?
You cannot avoid, having to interconnect. So when you cannot avoid all of these things, what becomes very apparent is, are you at risk? If you're at risk, do you even know you're at risk? And even if you do know, what are you going to do about mitigating those risks? Because however you live your life, that automation is part of it. Technology is so very advanced that everything we do here touches a bit of technology. So at the market infrastructure, CSCS, we build certain, capacities to, first of all, apart from automation, is also connectivity. So we provide most of our services online now and through APIs or through portals. And as we begin to interconnect with others, what is so very important is that we educate the whole community about the risk involved in automation and connectivity. Criminals actually, collaborate. We don't. When an institution is being threatened or has an incident, they hardly report it. They cover it up, go and, deal with it. And then the criminals who have dealt with this institution go to another one and do the same thing. So the idea again, let me repeat, it's about collaboration, coming together, discuss the threats, collaborate on how we're going to deal with it, and more importantly, also learn from each other. Most institutions are not very open, as the publicly or otherwise, about incidences that happen in their institutions. Many of them have SOCs that are probably internal. Even the internal ones don't publish those things, but I understand that inside the new law that has been passed, there is a section that has to do with the critical national infrastructure. And within that context, I think that's where NGSAT was formed. So you're required by law to, within a certain time frame, report an incident that has occurred in your institution. And I think that should go a long way in that particular institution beginning to understand and collating all of the things that happen so that we can share that information and protect ourselves. I think it's a good thing.
The key thing here is a democratization of all of the issues that are happening. So whether you're in your bank or if you're on your online or you're anywhere, it's about sharing those very, very specific incidents so that we can learn from each other and from that particular process. So information is the key, and solid information that's contained in a digestible and redeemable sense is extraordinarily important. So having some sort of log or national database around these incidences and the nature of those incidences would be key.
What remains paramount is ensuring that the weak links to any cyber threats are blocked. What role does regulation play in an ever-evolving, innovative, and digital solution ecosystem?
One of the things which we have done at the CSCS is to create software as a service. So a couple of our platforms we've provided to various stakeholders across the market. So today, for example, all the brokers use our platform, all custodians. You can go on and on, the settlement banks. One challenge we've always had is that we're always concerned about the weakest links to our systems. So that means we have to constantly engage both ourselves and our partners to review what all these our various stakeholders are doing. So many times when we make certain demands or conditions, they don't know why. I think an event like this has helped to show why we are very, very particular about the vulnerabilities that could come up if people don't take the right step. So this conference for me is very, very good. We have most of our stakeholders coming around or connected. They will begin to understand why we would insist that before you get to do certain things with us, you must have done your VAPT, vulnerability and penetration testing, and we need to see the reports. They'll begin to understand why we enforce certain types of things when you need to have your identity with us or you need to get in touch with us to pull any form of data. So I think for me, that's one of the things the conference has done, is enabling our stakeholders know why we are putting certain things as conditions for you to do business with us.
Within the capital market ecosystem, we take data extremely seriously. And I think part of the reason for that is the subject of data management and privacy is not new to the capital markets at all by any means, right? We have an ethos, a DNA, a culture of just being responsible with data and also building systems responsibly. And so for me, the regulation is one bit. The reality is that the onus is on the owners of whatever these platforms are. How do we all make sure that as we innovate, as we build systems, we're doing that responsibly, we're doing that with sort of, best practice. Now, of course, naturally, people might want to stray, and that's where the regulation comes in. And in my mind, I think that the building blocks are there. You have the NDPR, as we said earlier, also the Office of the National Security Advisor. I think increasingly, as each sort of sub-regulator continues to come down strongly, you'd see a lot more improvement around this subject. Final thing I'll add is that the reality also is that what I call the preponderance of digital solutions is relatively new in our country. And this point you make on data, you can make it on, quite a few other things, even on practices that many of these businesses use to follow what they do. So I think it's not necessarily just a data gap, as it were, an IT gap. When you have situations where the market is innovating sometimes faster than the regulators can, you can sort of see these gaps. But I'm comforted that, with events like this, you're seeing increased sort of regulatory ethos, and that should catch up very quickly with this.
With the dual-edged nature of AI in cybersecurity, sustaining proactive steps to neutralize the threats before they arrive remains crucial.
When you look at the government approach in developing a framework to protect our critical asset, the critical asset is not just the technology, it's people itself, because people carry all these devices and share all this information online, share their own information, which is critical to them for scammers, for social media attack and the rest. So awareness is key. Awareness is the key thing. And the next thing is about what the law says. You have to protect yourself within the ambit of the law.
What sort of solutions are needed to meet the level of cyber attacks? Now, these experts highlight solutions needed to stay ahead of the curve.
Our threat landscape has evolved. We have more attack surfaces than we had before. With the advent of mobile devices, IoTs now, everything is smart, everything is interconnected. So attackers are having the field day. Now, something is happening where, as we work very hard from defensive perspective to try to come up with new technologies to defend our system. But just don't forget, attackers are also coming from the same perspective. They're working day and night very hard. In some cases, harder than us because we're ethical, right? They're unethical. So they're working day and night to try to attack our system. And just like we talked about leveraging AI to, harnessing the power of AI so we can improve our threat detection and prevention capabilities, attackers are doing the same thing. They're leveraging AI so they can even create more stealthier threats, so they can create more, obfuscated malware. Before, it's probably going to take a lot of effort for attackers to write a phishing email. Today with ChatGPT and just knowing one or two things about a person, you can write an amazing, I will say in quotes, phishing email that, it's going to be very hard for even an AI system to detect that's a phishing email.
The threats that we are facing are local. So if we bring in the international solutions to help fix the local problems, there will seem to be a discord. Secondly, because of the Nigerian economy, we are having the high rise of FX, and so it has become increasingly difficult for organizations to be able to purchase cybersecurity solutions to meet their security demands. And when we saw that gap in the market, we decided to start developing our own cybersecurity solutions. One of them focusing on mobile application security, and the other one focusing on security awareness. We believe that these two areas of focus are very important. Security awareness being focusing on the humans, because 95% of the cybersecurity attacks you see are caused by human error. So why not turn that particular negative into a positive? Empower the humans within your organization. So we developed Castellum, a cybersecurity awareness platform that is able to identify risks within the human for your organization and empower the humans to be able to identify phishing attacks and be able to block them. So you have empowered the human.
There are almost 200 million phones in Nigeria. Those 2 million phones are endpoints for an attack into the national tech infrastructure. So making sure that the people who have these 200 million phones are aware that they are even a threat point. First of all, they endanger themselves and also a threat to the rest of us. I think it's important for us to do. So it's not, I know these conversations are important at a higher level, but taking it to the grassroots, because 20 years ago, the only people who needed to be aware of cybersecurity were tech people like us and the people who had data centers. So those days, you are not connecting to 200 million devices, but the entire ecosystem has changed. So the people that need to be aware today are virtually everybody.
The conference witnessed overwhelming support for a robust cybersecurity measure, considering the significant costs that the global economy will bear due to cybercrime. Well, that's all on this episode of Focus On. I'm Akin Obakeye. Until next time, bye for now.